Kirby Smart's not the problem. He's a great recruiter. They need to adapt and find the right quarterback. They need to find the right quarterback. Do you remember when Alabama had what was it? John Parker Wilson, Greg McElroy, McCarron, Jake Coker. That's who Alabama's playing or Georgia's playing with right now. That level of quarterback. And that level of quarterback isn't going to win you big games. Now, here's the tricky thing about me making that statement. These two teams are going to play again in a month. And Georgia could win that game. Georgia very easily, not easily, but could win that game. So you don't want to make a blanket statement. You can't win with a quarterback like Stetson Bennett, but it becomes much more difficult when you don't have an elite quarterback to overcome some other issues for your team. No, he cannot. So, again, these teams, to be honest, I think they will play in a month. I like Michigan. I think Michigan's a good team. I like Cincinnati. It's so cool that everything the committee put in their way, and they overcome them, they're going to make the playoff. Good for them. But they're going to probably get killed by Bama. But, it's going to be cool to see that program be rewarded for 2 years now of excellence. There was no defensively. There was. They only scored 10 points in the second half. Now, I know one drive's taken away from a pick six, but they didn't. They made adjustments defensively. Offensively, you can only hide your quarterback for so long, and they fell behind 2 touchdowns. And in my opinion, they panicked. They panicked. They didn't know what to do. They know Stetson Bennett is very, very limited, and he throws that egregious interception to Helms. That was probably when the game was about over, because it was 31-17. Georgia drove the ball. Where were they? They're at the 19-yard line, 2nd and 9, and Helms picks it off. And yeah, that was probably close to as close as game. They weren't a fraud, right? I mean, I hate when that happens. The storyline is, Georgia's defense. No. Alabama's offense, Bill O'Brien, the Alabama offensive line, and Bryce Young and Jameson Williams and John Mechie, before he got hurt, had excellent games. Excellent games. So today, the better team won. We'll see what happens in a month when you have a month's worth of adjustments and another game to play, should they both win. Yep, that's why I'm okay. I mean, the other guy stinks too, so that's why I'm okay just having this one in the background. I should probably put on the ACC one, because that game will probably be pretty fun. November, Alabama was sloppy. They were sloppy. That they had a bad game. I know most of you, because I can see how many people are watching, and I know not all of you are here. November, that was the issue. The offense looked sloppy. The pass defense looked bad, and they were squeaking by some games that they shouldn't have been squeaking by in. LSU, Auburn, Arkansas is a really good team, but I mean, maybe they were just playing possum. I don't know. No, Tennessee's offense is pretty good. I saw that. I watched that game in person. They had a bad night. Tennessee doesn't have a Jameson Williams. Tennessee doesn't have Bryce Young. Hendon Hooker had a really good year, but he's not Bryce Young. He's going to win the Heisman. But this game, the scores tonight looked more in line with last year, where every big game was 35 plus points each side. It didn't matter who was playing. Trying to think. This year, defenses have been better. But tonight, Bill O'Brien, Bryce Young, again, Bill O'Brien, Bryce Young, they all had great games. Well, Oklahoma State could have had an argument if they would have gotten 6 more inches. No, Notre Dame. I mean, I like Marcus Freeman, so best of luck to him. Yeah, as long as Michigan wins. And if Michigan loses, I couldn't tell you who's going to get that 4th spot. Could be Baylor, could be Notre Dame, could be Ohio State. No clue. If he did, that's bad coaching for a little bit, but I can't deny the results. Yeah, and we talked about that a little bit Thursday, and I'm just going back to Thursday preview. Stetson Bennett needed to make some throws. And I talked about in the Tennessee game early, when Tennessee was keeping it close, as there's a trick play for, the tight end fell down. Stetson Bennett made some throws on 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. He didn't make those throws today. They were 3 for 12 on 3rd down. No, they shouldn't. He did. He's going to win the Heisman. That was a Heisman performance. Probably 3, Mr. Visor. Yeah, that was the thing everyone warned about. Like, don't count out Nick Saban in this roster and Bryce Young. They're stupidly talented. Sure they can. Well, Ohio State can't. Baylor surely can. Baylor now has 3 more top 15 wins than Notre Dame. Baylor absolutely could. Yeah, we talked about that play earlier. That was I don't want it to sound too college, but that play was disgusting. Yeah, and technically it was, I mean, if I'm going to be that guy, it was 34 points because they gave up the pick 6. But yeah, I saw this as like a mid-20s rock fight for large chunks of this game, and it wasn't that. Kirby's Visor, you're making some excellent points in the chat. Yeah, no, too many 3 and outs. 3 for 12 on 3rd down can't happen. And yeah, they couldn't get any. They had all day to throw, which I don't think any of us saw happening with how they played last week. What year is Bennett? He's got to be a senior, right? Because he was a walk-on. But JC Daniels was talked up as a 1st-round pick this year, and if he can't play this game where Stetson was clearly struggling, I didn't see it. And we were talking about Stetson Bennett, and the record is like Nick Saban was like 46-4 or something, went up by 14 plus points. And the losses were to Cam Newton, Ohio State in that playoff game, Deshaun Watson, and there was another one, and I forget when it was. But when they go up by 14 points, they don't lose. Oh, it's 13 Auburn, the kick 6 game. They don't lose, and Stetson Bennett is not going to be the quarterback to take them over the top. Stop. No, Georgia is not the sixth best team in the country. Stop. No, Georgia's making the playoff, guys. No, he is. He's the absolute GOAT. And the argument I'll give for that is what gave Nick Saban issues earlier in his Alabama tenure, like a decade ago, 5, 6, up until Jalen Hurts got there. Even the Jake Coker year they started, when Lane Kiffin got there, really, was they had issues with the spread. Hugh Freeze ran a great system at Ole Miss. Johnny Manziel, Cam Newton, those guys gave them issues. Now Nick Saban has mastered the spread, and he's one of the best at it. Now, granted, he's got all the talent, but that's part of the job. And he's like, remember when Alabama was running and Calvin Ridley's a great wide receiver, but then it was like Ardarius Stewart, Jake Coker, and they had Derrick Henry. Like, he has now mastered the spread, and that's why he's the GOAT. We can talk about the schedule, and I'm going to say this a lot tonight, I have a feeling. We can talk about the schedule all we want, but their point differential was 405 points. It's not like, Bama had struggled in recent weeks, and they squeaked by LSU, squeaked by Auburn. Arkansas gave them a game. Florida gave them a game. They were just murdering everybody. Now, that could have been an issue because now when they fell behind, they panicked. They got away from the run, and the run wasn't working anyway. They had no idea what to do. He has the elite, and he has elite players at a bunch of positions. Pickens was a great pick recruit, and I know he didn't play this year. Brock Bowers is the next Kyle Pitts coming out of he's just different. He needs the quarterback. Well, then you're taking out 2017 Alabama out of the playoff. And no, I disagree. Kirby's better than Les. Kirby just needs, in my opinion, needs to adapt better to this era of college football, where when you're playing elite teams, you can't go into the game hoping your defense can hold them under 24 points, because it's just not going to happen. Elite teams have too many skill positions, too many weapons. Jameson Williams can burn you deep twice. There's 14 points. You can't do that. Not to go on a sidetrack on Florida, but yeah, no, Billy Napier is a heck of a hire and a heck of a season to Louisiana. Their one loss was on the road at Texas first week of the year. Blake Sims, Blake Sims was 2014 with Amari Cooper and OJ Howard, I think, was on that team. No, Alabama's going to jump to 1 unless Michigan wins 56-0. Alabama's going to jump to 1. Yeah, their offensive line was incredible. Yeah, Georgia killed Auburn with Bo Nix, and Bama squeaked by TJ Finley. I did think that was weird. They never seemed to try and rush Bryce Young. But what I think happened there was Bryce Young beat him I think it was once. Once he beat them on a blitz, and he got to the outside and he picked up 15 yards or something. And he's just well, we can't let that happen. Nice run, Blake Corum. Absolutely. All season I've been on here waiting for Bama to play a complete football game, offensively, defensively. And tonight, it was that game. Georgia defense is still really good. They did not have, it was not their night. Let me catch up on the comments just not to get everything here. Which is crazy because for the last month, I would have told you that Dan Lanning would school Bill O'Brien. We all thought, and Dan Lanning's a heck of a coach. But yeah, I mean, Bill O'Brien, that was the best game Bill O'Brien's called all year.